Hello and welcome to the Animal Intuitive Show. This is Ann Angela Webb, the Animal Intuitive. I hope you're ready to have some fun tonight. We're going to learn how to walk like a dog.
Come on, all you doggies, won't you walk with me? I'm the puppet dog.
So my intro song was really apropos tonight because we have a special guest. Her name is Bobby Brown. She's from the Dog Trainers Connection. And she is going to talk with us about her special program about how to walk like a dog, which is both a relaxing and fun sort of walking meditation, but I'm going to let her tell you all about it. But first, let me just have Bobby introduce herself and tell you a little bit about her background in training and what she does. And I also just want to thank Jennifer Ahmad, who's here. I really appreciate her help right now. So hello, Jennifer, and thank you for your help and for putting up that link.
Okay, well, I am Bonnie Brown.
Did I call you Bobby Brown?
Yes.
I'm thinking makeup,
okay.
Apparently.
That's right. That's a famous Hague.
And the
okay.
other the musician too. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's right. No problem. No problem. I'm Bonnie Brown, and just to give you a little bit about my background, I started training in New York City in 2001, and my training mentor was very passionate about bringing dog trainers together to learn from each other and to network. And my husband Joel, who's my partner in Dog Trainers Connection, we started holding events in the tri-state area, started out in Manhattan, and we had a lot of trainers come through who are now known, like Victoria Stillwell before, when she was just learning to be a dog trainer, and the gentleman who developed the Peter Borschelt, he developed the first head halter, and this was back in the day when dog trainers at the time weren't really superstars. It's kind of building up.
Yeah.
And
pre-dog whisperer and all that.
Exactly. But my training mentor had studied for many, many years with a lot of the great people, and and I continued dog training on my own, as helping people out. And the dog that got me started was a Norwegian Elkhound puppy that we adopted from the ASPCA in Manhattan, and her name was Ingrid. And Elkhounds pull. They're like, I'm going, and I'm going to that park, and my shoulder was being pulled out of its socket. So I started taking dog training classes, and I just kept going. We did obedience work, agility, trick training. I was super into it. And then I developed a love for just helping other people and their dogs, and I started assisting dog trainers in their classes, and at the same time holding our Dog Trainers Connection events in Manhattan. And at the time, there were all kinds of methods for teaching a dog not to pull, some very harsh. And I just want to share something. The one that helped me with Ingrid was something called the stop-start method. Mm-hmm. And it was like we were on a 6-foot leash. The park was a block and a half away, Central Park. But if that leash wasn't slack, she wasn't getting to the park. So I just stopped. And then she'd turn around, pull, turn around, what's going on? And then the leash would go loose, and I would take a few steps. It would get tight again. Well, it took a long time to get that loose leash. We didn't get to the park for a few times. When she learned, okay, I can get to the park if it's a loose leash. So I think I not only have an affinity for helping people get comfortable with their dogs, live comfortably with them, get them happy and the dogs happy, Um, the walking piece has been near and dear to me. Um, and I had another dog, Bianca, whom we got at 5 years old, and her thing was she just wanted to go. She was 10 pounds, so much easier than an elk hound to control. But I ended up just letting her take me on walks and realizing, okay, that's what she wanted to do. She was less reactive to other dogs because she really didn't like dogs at all. And I kind of, this was the process, I believe, in which I developed, okay, there is a way to get a nice walk with your dog and not be frustrated and get angry at the dog and feel like you failed. And here I'm a dog trainer and I couldn't control my dogs. So to make another long story short,
No,
I interviewed, thank you. I interviewed a dog trainer. Dog Trainers Connection has a podcast on our website, and I interviewed a trainer named Dina Pavlis, who is out in Oregon near the dunes and Pacific Ocean. And she learned a course from her training mentor called Walk Like a Dog. And I read about it. I said,
oh, we
I
froze
read
up there.
yes,
froze
the
up for a second.
description of her course.
Okay.
So I interviewed her, and basically what Dina said is that not only is this walk good for anybody, because it's just relaxing and de-stressing, if someone's bond is broken with their dog,
Right.
it helps heal it. And so she gave me her blessing to pass Walk
That's
Like a
wonderful.
Dog on and to give the course. But I wanted to do it live like she did it. She would have her clients come to her facility and they would go out on their own and do walks, do this walk like a dog, come back and talk about it. The pandemic hit, and I realized that it wasn't safe to call people together, even outside. I didn't feel comfortable with it. And so my husband and I put our heads together and we said, okay, how can we do this online in the most effective way? And so what we did was we created an audio narration where it's as if I'm with you out on the walk, leading you every step of the way with your dog. And there is a Qigong short meditation as part of the course, and also a troubleshooting PDF. And so that is how the course came to be. And what I'm finding is that, and I will tell you a little story about our current elk hound, Akira. We got her 3 years old. I don't believe she was ever walked on a leash. And again, like my first elk hound, just super strong and wanting to get to squirrels and kill things and hunt, and just very difficult to walk. And I find that when I practice what I'm teaching in the course, I have a completely different mindset about her. And I focus in on what she's doing, so I'm able to relax. And the whole course is, the premise is to not judge yourself and not judge your dog. And the outcome of this walk, besides learning about your dog, learning about yourself, is getting the gift of being in the moment with your dog. And that's what your dog teaches you on the walk.
Yeah.
And every time I focus, when Akira pulls and puts her head down to sniff, and I maybe say, oh, why is she pulling? She walked really nicely a second ago, and I take my mind off of the pulling piece and focus on what is she smelling? Why are her ears moving back? What is she hearing? When I focus on that, it just lets go of any frustration about her behavior
Mm-hmm.
outside.
It's incredible. I actually will talk about, because I did try it myself today, and so I'll talk about that
Oh,
too. But
thank you.
just yeah, and just to let everyone know, you can ask questions. Bonnie's happy to answer questions, and that's what the chat's for. So feel free to type in if you do have questions during the interview. Um, so I guess I'm wondering, maybe one of the questions that I think maybe might be coming up for people is, how does this play into, like, when you have traditional dog training and you're trying to, follow all these instructions about the dog must walk next to you, and, you must be confident and be the leader and be the one in charge and all this stuff that you hear from dog training.
Yes.
How do these things, like, how do they come together? How do they play in? Is it one or the other, or how do you tell us about that, what your thoughts are?
hmm that's a very good question. I mean, I think each person needs to find the tool that they're comfortable with in walking their dog, be it a harness, certain type of collars, just a regular buckle collar if their dog does okay on that, um, and not and find out what works for them and their dog, because it really is different for everybody.
Hmm.
And as a dog trainer, I really try not to be judgmental about the type of tool that the person chooses to use. If I go into somebody's house and they're using a tool that maybe I don't think is the right choice, I still want to work with them within the parameters of what's comfortable for them. And then maybe in the future, when things get a little more under control with their walking, they're willing to try something else. So I think I really feel that when let me just say a little something about the details of the walk, because on this walk, your dog's leading you. And the way the walk starts out is that I instruct people to just stand still. And they can do this in their backyard, on
Yeah, I
city
messed that part
street.
up.
That's
I
okay.
was like out the door and walking, and it was like, do not walk. And I was like, oh.
And do not talk to your dog.
Yeah, so everybody, just before, when you get this, don't go anywhere at first. Be prepared that you need to, this isn't like your dog is bursting to go to the bathrooms and you're running out the door. So just,
Exactly, exactly. And so when you step out your door and you just stand still, that whatever kind of collar you're on, and however long your leash is, you are kind of resetting the parameters of your walk with your dog. And I've had people tell me their dog got really nervous at that and was jumpy and kind of moving around and seemed stressed by it.
hmm.
Other people, the dog just like looking back, maybe even grabbing the leash in frustration. Why aren't you going? And starting to pull. And if if you give it time and just stand there and take the breaths that I'm teaching and just focusing on yourself and just letting your dog be, it's a way to set things up for this relaxed, de-stressing walk, because one hope is that your dog will put its head down and start sniffing. And at
Yes.
that point, if your dog says, okay, well, oh, let me look down, oh, there's an interesting smell, at that point, you can move forward.
Hmm.
So, but you can adjust that. It can just be when you're ready, when you're relaxed, and then you move out. Ideally, the dog should be sniffing, um, just a little more relaxed than pulling on the leash. But I'm telling you, even if your dog is really reacting big time, I don't want to set parameters for this walk that you have to do this or you have to do that or your dog has to be a certain way, because really that's what not that's not what this walk is about.
Mm-hmm.
So starting out not moving is something different, and hopefully your dog's like, oh, okay, this is different.
Right.
And then when you start moving out, you're just letting your dog go where it goes. If it's pulling you and not hurting you, then just keep going and move with your dog. And in the narration, I tell you what to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
And what to start observing in your dog. So it's, and then along the way in the walk, I do teach people some breathing to do for themselves, observing what their dog is doing. It could be a sniffing in a lamppost in the street or in the country, in the grass. Observing what your dog is doing, you become less judgmental and you let go, and you start noticing, oh, my dog's in the moment, my dog's here, my dog's doing this, oh, my dog caught a scent, my dog's going there. And you're allowing them to lead you on what their walk would really be if you weren't controlling them or saying, okay, we're walking this way today, we're going our usual place. This is really your dog leading you and you learning from what they're doing on their walk.
So to me, this was animal communication in a way. Like this was because it has elements of even some things that I do when I'm teaching. So I was like, oh, this is similar. I did have to keep myself from communicating with her though, because I was like, oh, this is perfect. She's got me breathing and slow, meditation basically in a way, like a walking almost meditation and connecting
Yes.
with my dog. And then I had to refrain from taking it further into really like asking her questions, like, what are you? It wasn't exactly that. And what I will say that I really liked about it, for me, what I really got out of it was you mentioned in it when you're saying it, you said you may from this you may find that this or that you may be seeing this or learning this or you may just be feeling, I don't remember the exact words, but like freed from judgment, from expectation or something. And that's how I
Yes.
felt. It was nice to just like not to just kind of walk freely and just make it like take all that pressure off and not be, oh, she's not doing the form that she should be. And I did actually do this with one dog instead of both of my dogs, because I thought it would be better initially.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. It definitely would work better with one dog.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. It's a way of focusing on yourself as you let your dog just be how they are naturally.
This
And
is
then
our walk.
and that is hard because everybody, you Google training and your dog's doing this, and okay, well, my dog needs to walk at my side and heel and not pull. And we kind of mentally get into this mindset of
Yes.
we're
Yeah.
controlling the walk.
Yeah.
And this is just the opposite. Your dog is leading you on their kind of walk. And That judgmental part, I think, is really important because I think all of us, our dogs are our children, our family, and if they're misbehaving or pulling, acting up, we,
Right.
you feel it's a reflection of you, and
Yeah.
that
Yep.
you failed in some way, and you get angry at your dog, and this walk really helps people focus on the positive things about their dog and
Yeah.
really noticing what they're doing out
Yeah. I would say it's, you mentioned that it heals bonds. It heals broken bonds. That's something
there.
that you said to me when you first reached out and mentioned
It,
this. And I can see that absolutely because there can be so much stress that builds up um, from, I don't know, there's just like as we're sitting here talking about it, there's so much around walking your dog the right way that there is so much judgment. Like, oh, that person's, and we all do it. Like, we see people whose dog is like leading them down the road, and pulling the person, leading the walk, or yanking the person, or
sure,
just quote unquote misbehaving.
sure.
And it does build like this stress, I think, around it. And it's so nice to take that time to just have a nice walk and follow what your kind of voice is guiding you to do, and being in the moment and appreciating them for who they are and what they can do, what they can take in the world around them. It's really lovely, and I'd say it's like rejuvenating or restoring.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I really recommend it. I really think that, and I have a link in the description below for people to get to that too, if you're interested. I really do think it, and not only that, I have to tell you, I was a little bit under the weather the past few days, and I have like sick rage. I don't know if you get this, but I get angry when I'm sick. Like, I don't know, it's really weird. I don't like being sick, and I get angry. It's not a good quality. It really isn't. And
My husband's like that. He hates being sick. Can't stand it.
yeah, it's sick rage. And I and I was just getting fed up with it, and um and that's like a whole nother story, because it was actually part of what was going on was pesticides. That where I live, they spray pesticides, which are really bad for us and for our animals.
Mm, sure.
And welcome to people who are coming in the chat. Hi, Karen. If you have any questions, we are talking with not Bobby Brown, but Bonnie Brown of Dog Trainers Connection, who has a audio guided walk called Walk Like a Dog, and we're talking about how this works and what it does for us. So feel free to ask questions. She's a dog trainer of many years. I think you said, was it 30 years or 20, 30
Since,
years? Long time,
yes,
very long
yes,
time. So lots of
2001.
experience. Yeah, lots of experience. Um, and by the way, if you are getting anything out of this video, I do appreciate so much you subscribing, liking, and sharing. It really helps the show, and to help other people who have pets who may be having things that they need help with. So anyway, pesticides. I have a pesticide guy. If you get pesticides built up in you or your pets, I have somebody who's excellent at a distance in helping you get rid of those. So please feel free to email me. He doesn't have a website, so there's no way for me to put that here. He's word of mouth, so reach out to me. I have that issue here because they spray near me, and I'm like a victim of pesticides. So I was getting sick from it. And I was starting to come down from it because he did some clearing work on me, and this walk like solidified that. Like I was really needing it. I did it at about 4 o'clock. The show started at 7, and it really
Mm,
helped to just, breathe in and go on this nice walk with my dog, who she did definitely love it. Let me tell you, can I pull this in? Let me see. I
oh,
played a little bit of it
great.
before, but she absolutely loved it. She loved that her brother wasn't there. That was part of it. She got to do a walk without her big brother.
Alone with mama.
Yes, she got to do it all herself, and you can see how happy she is. Look at that. Look at she. I think that's when we turned around. Nope, there she goes. She stops, and she just sniffed everything. I mean, she was sniffing every little thing. She was just loving it. Um, so, and a question that Karen had: are you mediums? I don't believe that Bonnie works in that realm. And
No.
I don't consider myself exactly a medium. I mean, I'm an animal communicator, so I understand what animals are thinking and feeling. Um, so, um,
And I just wanted to throw in here, when you were talking about not feeling well and the walk, I think, now too with, COVID, everybody was mostly home with their dogs
yeah,
and maybe working from home, so there still was a lot of stress. But now a lot of people going back to work,
right,
walking can be a real chore. Like, oh, I got to take my dog out,
yeah, mm-hmm.
and more stress. And I think
Exactly.
not that you're going to do this 20-minute walk for every walk, but I
Mm-hmm.
think learning how to do it and trying it really can change your mindset about your dog, about who they are, um,
Yeah,
what they're doing outside. I described looking at body language, tail, ears, what you can see on your dog,
mm-hmm.
and and things that I've learned as a dog trainer, body language, which is something really that there are charts online that people can look up body language in dogs
Mm-hmm.
and can learn very simple things like a dog yawning probably means stress. Uh, Tongue flicking out often is a sign of the dog right at that moment is a little uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So on the walk, observing what your dog is doing, even if it's lifting its paw, which may be I'm feeling a little insecure, the front paw, and you see that, you can just observe it, not judge it, um, and learn more about your dog on the walk. And
Right.
if people can get out to an area where it's safe to walk, that is best. But again, this can be done even in your backyard on a leash, 6 foot leash, 10 foot leash, 15 foot leash, 4 foot leash.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just because you just stand there and then follow the narration of how to take this walk. And yeah, I think it's a wonderful way of de-stressing while you're out walking your dog. And I think when I say your dog teaches you how, I really think, I mean, it may sound a little weird, but I think that's what comes from this walk because you're seeing your dog be in the moment and you're letting your dog be in the moment.
Right.
And that develops a deep connection with your dog.
Yeah. Um, and I think you also were talking just about how their sense of smell, of course, is so much stronger than ours. Um, and for them, it's actually relaxing to be able to sniff and just stop and take it all in. It's very healthy for them to have that time.
Absolutely. It's calming, it's exercise, it's how they explore, it's de-stressing for them to sniff. That's why so many people do sniffing, take courses in scent work, and hide
Hmm.
food in their house for the dog to find.
Yep.
and really good for dogs because that's how they operate mostly is nose. You know,
Yeah. And I mean, going back to even the fact that I took her out by herself, I think that sometimes it is good to take them out separately. If you're used to taking your dogs out all the time together, I know for me, a lot of times it's like a time saver to take them out at the same time, of course. So,
Sure, sure.
but you know, I felt reconnected with her. I felt like, you know, we got him a couple of years ago, and mostly I take them together. So, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but for, I guess that would have been 5, 6 years of her life, I was taking her out by herself. So, you know, it reminded me of things, and it was like a reconnecting. And so I think it is good it's a good practice to, as you can, you know, maybe not every day like you said, but to just do this individually if you have multiple dogs, that is, to take the time as individuals and to,
Exactly.
and to observe them in their natural sort of state, you know, doing what they do and what
Yeah,
they're kind of guided to do. So we'll say that
exactly.
also. Is there anything that I mean, maybe you could tell us, if, I don't know if you have had any sort of anecdotes or stories that you have of people that you've worked with that have done this and how it affected their um, life with their pet or.
Well, one, I got interesting feedback from a relative of my husband's who did the course, and she had worked with a trainer to walk with her dog, brought food so she could distract her dog from eating things outside, and you know, she worked with a trainer, and she said that um, she really liked the standing still at the beginning and how I guided
Hmm.
her to stand still and not move out right away. And, you know, when I tested this course out in people, it was actually a shorter course. It was 12 minutes long.
Hmm.
And um, I got feedback from people, what worked for them, what they wished could be in it. And one of the things she said was that her dog kept pulling to lawns where the dog was not supposed to go, other people's lawns in walking. So um, I'm I had to go back and say, okay, well, how do we work with that? And it is fine if people bring food because you can, if you use food on your walks or whatever you use to distract your dog, um, bring it on this walk like a dog walk. That's fine. Have it with you. If you use food and you want to get your dog away from something, or you have a certain thing that you say, you know, and you have to speak to them, come on, let's go this way, lure them away with food, that's fine because you
Hmm.
can then stop again and you know, calm down from whatever it is and then move in another direction with your dog. So it's it's things are going to come up.
Hmm.
Say your dog hates other dogs and all of a sudden they see a dog in the distance and stiffens up.
Right.
Well, it is fine to take your leash, pull the dog, and try to move in another direction. Whatever you use. If you need to say, let's go, pull them around to get them away, that's fine because you can continue this walk once you get away from the distraction.
Okay.
So the feedback, and that's in the troubleshooting notes, the feedback that I got was, what do I do when, you know, the walk isn't ideal that way? My dog's going to go pick up something that would be dangerous for them to eat, for instance.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So you're not going to let them do that. You're going to try to, as gently as possible, guide them away from it and then continue even in another direction, letting your dog lead you that way.
Okay. Yeah, and I did have
So,
to do that a few times. She was
you did.
yeah, she was
Okay.
She definitely could get into trouble if I let her. She's
And then I found people saying to me that it was hard to not talk to their dogs, and because we as owners tend to say all kinds of things constantly to our dogs,
hmm
and dogs really follow body language. That's why when you teach dogs, if you teach a verbal sit command, that's fine, but actually a hand signal for sit is much clearer to a dog.
hmm
And so dog trainers learn that and teach. You can teach both a verbal command and a hand signal, but we tend to talk to our dogs. So I got feedback that that was hard for people,
not
just be
yeah.
quiet and not to say anything to their dog. And then
that's
I got.
oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No,
You
that's
go ahead.
okay. It just made me think of animal communication because that's a major component of learning to communicate with animals is to be able to be quiet, to be able to sit and listen and be just not talking, which is sometimes the first part of the class is just helping people to stop talking because we're so used to talking. So it's interesting
Yes.
how much this like dovetails with teaching animal communication.
hmm That's what it is. It's getting on in sync with what your dog wants to do, what they're doing, what makes them happy outside, and by letting them lead you. And
Right.
I got positive feedback that um, people really found my narration soothing to
hmm
them. They liked the breathing
Yeah.
that I walk people through, and it just they want when I did the 12-minute course, they wanted more. So I
hmm
it was like it's too short. I wanted to take a
Yeah.
longer walk.
I would think so.
So
Yeah, I think it was a perfect length.
yeah, thank you.
I could see how that might have been like you would be left wanting more with just the 12 minutes. I definitely felt like it was a good length and um
And I
yeah.
really think, Anne, that once people, and I'm sure it's when you work with people and you teach them what you do and communicating with their animals, um, it's a process. And but
hmm
each thing that you teach them, I'm sure, builds up to the next one, and it
Right.
takes people different time to
Sure.
kind of come to their understanding of what you're teaching. So
hmm
this walk may be really frustrating the first time, but I would
hmm
hope that people would go back, try it again, maybe just do the first part and just stand still and do the
Yeah.
breathing and
hmm
observe their dog, and then that's it. And then later on, come back and do more of the walk.
Yeah, I think your dogs will appreciate that a lot if you just take the time to do this. Anybody out there who's thinking about trying this, it really, I don't know. It's just, it's for me, it seems like a good idea to switch things up and to just reconnect. It's something that I'm always teaching as an animal communicator, but it's not focused on necessarily their outdoor lives, like their walking around lives and helping you to,
hmm
it just isn't quite the focus because I guess sometimes I feel like that's a lot of times people are trying to incorporate training. So
Absolutely.
they're going to be
It,
like
it,
distracted if they're trying to do animal communication. So this is a way to do that. It's an excuse to not have to. Maybe it's an excuse not to have to do training, even if that, like, because it just sometimes it gets tiring. And I know what you mean by because even as an animal communicator, um, people in the dog world, people can feel like I think that you have to almost have like the perfect um, like you were saying, as a dog trainer, not feeling like it's okay to have issues with your dog. I think that was Victoria Stilwell too that talked about, was that her that had a dog that she had in the city that she was embarrassed because the dog was reactive? I'm not sure if that was her or if that was someone else. It was a well-known trainer. I know it was a female, and she said it was really hard for her because she had this, like, you know, quote unquote, like, misbehaving dog, and she was like, it was so
It's
embarrassing, you
highly
know.
embarrassing to a trainer. And and when you just said about people that are work with dogs in whatever capacity, always doing something and training. And
Yeah.
when I started out with my elk hound, I had, thank God, I went right into it gung ho, classes and getting up and park and running. And I had a trainer tell me, Bonnie, just stop for a month and just relax, stop training. And I think that sometimes when you push animals too much,
Yeah.
they shut down.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, let's go, and you got to perform, and you know, you're not healing correctly, and training this and
Right.
drop it and leave it. And I mean, and those are all wonderful, because when you do it, if you do it in a joyful way, you know, you end up having a dog that wants
Yeah.
to work with you.
Right.
But we get so into, um, you know, what you were just saying, that, you know, we want our dogs to look good and to perform and to be well behaved and not be reactive. And I mean, my husband came up with and I probably will forget what it was, but it was something that we posted on our Facebook page. Uh, I'm a dog trainer, so my dog is my dog is perfect, right? And dot dot dot. Well,
Right.
we got over 1,000 comments on it, and people just, yeah, right, my dog's perfect, yeah. And because that resonates with anybody who helps other people with their dogs.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
it can be embarrassing, it can be frustrating, and also trainers that go out and work constantly with other people's dogs, they may not have the time to work
Mm-hmm.
on the issues with their own dogs.
Right.
Um, and trainers also tend to adopt dogs that have issues,
Yeah.
because we know what to do, and we know,
Mm-hmm.
you know, how to help the dog, and we know the techniques. Um, and so, you know, when you're in the process of trying to get this dog to be well behaved and not reactive on leash, it takes time. And in the
Yeah.
meantime, you're out with this dog that may be
Mm-hmm.
out of control, and you know,
Hey,
and you're
look,
a dog
isn't
trainer.
that my
It's like,
dog
oh,
trainer with that dog that's dragging her across the street?
exactly. God, and I have been there. Oh,
It's so
goodness.
true. Yeah, I mean, for an animal communicator, I think it's all of the above. It's like it can be the trait. It can be outside thinking. Well, people might be like, "Oh my gosh," like this because we do that too. We tend to adopt the animals with the most issues, the most traumatic pasts. Like quote unquote healers. That we're supposed to be quote unquote healers. I don't know, but it's so true. And the stress we put
Yeah.
on ourselves. And I think that it's interesting. It's like part of the journey of like animals will teach us so many things, and one of the biggest one is to help us let go of our ego as much as possible. Um, that's what I've learned, at least. That's what I've found.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
they're
And
wonderful teachers.
yes, and it's I really, when our dog Akira acts up outside, now I find that I just look at her and I go, what is she looking at? Why is she, what is she focused on?
Mm-hmm.
What is she smelling?
Mm-hmm.
Why is she standing erect and looking in the bushes? What's there?
Uh-huh.
And I become interested in what she's doing, not that she's, hasn't gone to the bathroom yet. I need to get back and do something. Any of the frustration with her, that she had real difficulty. I had real difficulty walking her when we got her last September. So any of that frustration just kind of melts away because I'm not judging her. I'm not judging myself that I failed in some way because she still pulls somewhat and or any other behavior, and that this is who she is right now, and she is so much better than she was, and I mean, she wasn't even present when we got her.
Yeah.
Just, it was like my husband would say, she's here, but I don't think she's really here. And that took a long time. It took 4 or 5 months for her to even just be with us.
Yeah, that sounds like Kane, my German Shepherd. Similar, very similar. We talked about that before.
Yes.
The similarities. Yeah. And the pulling, and they're big animals, and just it can be tough. It can be tough on your shoulder.
Yes,
It can be
absolutely. Oh my goodness.
yeah.
Frustrating.
And I'm wondering, like, what's your philosophy when you sort of just decide to do that? When you say, what's she looking at? Let me just go with that for now. Do you like? How can I put this? How does that fit into, like, do you say, well, this isn't necessarily a time when I need to be working on the way she walks. We'll get back to that, like another time. Or what's your thinking that allows you to do that at that moment?
That's a really good question. For me, it's that probably right at the moment before she was pulling and wanted to go somewhere and was pulling very strongly. And I think, well, in being 100% honest with you, Norwegian elk hounds are pullers. They usually, because they want to be out there independently working. That's what they're bred to do. They're hunters. They go out, they round up elk, and they're separate from the hunters, and they bark and bay at them until the hunters come.
It's incredible.
So they're really independent, and they use their noses predominantly, and they're not the dog normally that, and I say this, not all of them. Every breed has certain dogs that are less independent than others, that are better at certain kinds of training. But my mind, just the minute I get any kind of feeling of frustration, like I need to get back. She hasn't peed yet. She doesn't like dogs, or who's going to come down the road that I'm already, scanning.
Right.
How is that, she's good with people, but is the dog going to come?
Yeah.
What's going to happen? Do I have food with me? Can I distract her? So all of that can come up for me, but the minute she stops to focus on something, I just look at what she's doing. And that feeling of anxiety or stress about my agenda just goes away. And I practice that. And, the minute I feel that stress, I say, okay, I'm getting annoyed with what's happening on this walk.
Okay.
Let me focus on what she's doing, and it just dissipates. So it's been a real, it did. I know when Dina talked originally, who taught me this course, talked about her own personal experience with her dog, of it healing the bond with her dog. um, it really can do that,
Mm-hmm.
because you start seeing your dog in a different light, and you're able to say, yeah, take a breath.
Mm.
Oh, look at that. The dog, what is she seeing? What's in the bushes there? I wonder
Yeah.
what that is. And
Appreciating, yeah, what they do.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, appreciating what they do, what she needs at that moment, and me letting go what I need, which
Yeah.
maybe is to I wanted it to be a quicker walk.
Right.
So no matter what walk I'm on with her,
Mm-hmm.
if anything comes up that I worry about or is anxiety producing for me, I just take a breath and then I say, "What's Akira doing?"
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
then that brings me back to, oh, that's interesting.
Right. And it's like you're going with the flow instead of like again like working you're not working against the grain. You're going with it.
Exactly. And what
Yeah.
you asked before, training is separate from that.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to do a training walk with her, maybe in our driveway, um, we did a lot of posting exercises on a long line with her just to get her to follow us.
Mm-hmm.
And it, that's a different walk than
Okay.
just going out with her to go to the bathroom. It could be a quick one to go to the bathroom. That's different. But if it's a walk where I want her to get some exercise, then this walk like a dog, de-stressing walk is good for that.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping that it'll teach people to start seeing their environment like their dog does,
Yeah.
and from seeing that themselves,
Mm-hmm.
getting more in the moment like their dogs are. And it's that give and take and gift that you can give with your dog outside.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. It helps everybody. It helps them. It helps us.
Yeah,
Um,
and boy, do we need de-stressing these days.
yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely. 100%.
everybody does.
It's a great way to go about it. Um, so, was there anything that we didn't talk about that you think would be helpful for people to know or consider? It's okay
Um,
if not, but
well, um, let me think. I think um, people that adopt a dog, or what everybody says, rescued a dog, that it is, in terms of dog training and working with them, it's really good to find someone that you like, that you're comfortable with their techniques and what they do, to come in and help you, because
mm-hmm.
it can really be overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
It can
Yeah,
be overwhelming, not only with the pulling, but your dog being reactive to people, to dogs, just not settling down and calming down in the house,
yeah, barking
and
at the door, anything.
barking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes. And I know you have a lot of things that you work with people with, to getting their dogs to calm down. And I think it's really important for people to seek help,
Yeah,
and
I
not
agree.
only just Google things on their own. That can be good, but if whatever they're doing is still frustrating them,
Right.
to definitely reach out and talk to a trainer, talk to a friend that had a good experience with a trainer, and get recommendations,
Mm-hmm.
and and see if you like the style, what the trainer is doing.
Yeah.
And because it's just like there are different choices for collars, harnesses, collars. Um, some people like e-collars, some people go that route, some people prongs, choke chains, whatever you're comfortable with. And if you are working with a trainer that you like, and you see good results in what's happening with your dog,
Hmm.
then I think that's what people should do. And especially if you adopted a dog during the pandemic and you're still having issues,
Right.
to definitely reach out to.
Yeah, they're now a lot are getting returned now. People are now,
That's what I hear.
yeah,
And
unfortunately.
yeah, and I think the whole separation anxiety issue with
Yeah,
dogs, with people going back to work.
right.
Um, and again, the walk that I teach would be very is a good exercise for the
Yeah.
dog. I mean, I predominantly think of it for the people, for the owner,
Hmm.
but the dog definitely gets a lot of benefits
Oh,
from
yeah.
it.
Oh, I felt like my
Emotionally,
dog, yeah, she 100% was, I mean, you could see her in that video. She was just, that was her after. She was just thrilled. She
that,
was so
that's
happy.
terrific.
Yeah, because she spent the 20-minute whole 20-minute, which of course the first part I wasn't supposed to be walking, but I
That's
um
okay.
because um it's the story of my life. But the first 20 minutes she got to do her thing, she got to sniff everything. And then I said, okay, it's time to turn back. It was getting really hot and we needed to turn around. It was getting
Yeah.
late. And she knew that we were headed back. And it was like she was just so happy. She just had such a good time and she felt fantastic. So yeah, I would
And
say it's for both.
did she do a lot of sniffing?
Oh yeah,
Oh, that's
tons,
great.
tons of
That's
sniffing.
great.
Yeah, she loved
And
it.
did you notice anything interesting about her sniffing or the environment?
I think what I noticed, I mean, this is sort of specific to me because of the other dog, but it was that she really wanted to take the time to dig into the sniff. Like she wanted to a couple times. She wanted to really stay with like one scent and get the whole
There.
scent. And I feel like with my German Shepherd, um, because I do feel like I have to. I mean, he's good. Like when I take them on like a trail near here with other animals and people, he's not trying to hurt anybody or anything. But I feel like people are intimidated by him, and
Hmm.
me coming towards people with this 80-pound German Shepherd and another dog on top of it, even though she's a little floof dog, but um, I mean, she's 40,
Yes,
she's probably up to
imposing.
50. She needs to lose some weight, but for people to see these two, a medium and a big sized dog coming towards them, and
Sure, sure.
so I'm feeling like I have to look very in control of them, and that it's also not the biggest, widest path. So I feel like I can't be a jerk and take up the whole path. So I'm trying to keep them next to me. So it's like a whole, like, again, me trying to control
That's
the whole
different.
situation. So
Sure, sure.
her getting to do that walk and
Mm.
not having him there and being able to really like stop and just like take in the scent. There was one scent that, because you're saying like what do you imagine that smells like, and I feel like whether I imagined it or was communicating it, it was interesting because I was picking up a lot of urine that she was smelling. A lot of dogs walk
Wow.
this trail, so she was
Yes.
sniffing rocks and different things, and it was like I actually got some kind of a fruit
Mm.
smell, something like that. And I'm not sure if it was in a urine or if it was under there, but like some kind of a something that.
Oh, wow,
So
that's interesting.
yeah, so when you tune in, you can come up with some really interesting
Yeah.
senses
And
that. Yeah.
are you planning to do the walk with your shepherd?
Yeah, I'm looking
I
forward to
hope you are.
trying with him. Yeah, definitely. Yep.
That's terrific.
He'll get his time too. Yeah.
Yes.
My big boy.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll all get it. So, yeah, I encourage everyone to do. I think this is a great way to also practice your animal communication. I think, it opens you up to that as well because
Mm.
Bonnie starts you with sort of a grounding exercise, and it's helpful for that. So not that you want to actively be communicating, because that isn't the point of it, but it all just works together. Just sometimes, you just might find that your ability to communicate with animals opens up through doing stuff like this, and things might pop in that you don't expect. Information that you don't expect might just pop in. And if you focus on doing animal communication after this walk too, I think that you'd be in a better place for it, to hear what your animals has to say about it. Ask them.
Thank you.
Let us know, people who are listening. Tell us how it goes. We'd love to hear about it. Let us know in the comments, and we will have that link to be able to go out and get that as well. And this is the website there that Jennifer posted. Thank you. The Dog Trainers Connection website, and we'll have a link directly to the walk too, the Walk Like a Dog audio. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
It's wonderful.
Thank you. This really has. I really appreciated it, and I'm so glad that you got to try the walk.
Me too. And Cheyenne says thank you.
Cheyenne. Welcome, Cheyenne.
She says thank you very much. And if anybody needs an animal communicator, that's what I do. You can reach me at intuitivetouchanimalcare.com. All the links are in the description, and I'm usually here every week for Furry Thursdays if I'm not sick or what have you, and I do communicate with animals for free on those Furry Thursday nights at 7 p.m. The details are in the description there too for how to have me do that with your pet. And thank you so much, everybody, and have a lovely night, day, or whenever you're listening to this.